Papa Manny, can you please tell me about your parents, Esther Harris and Morris Wolpe?
My late father, Morris Wolpe, he came from Lithuania in the early 1900s, and family brought him out because he didn't want to go into the Russian army. They brought him out, but they pushed him to a little town called Andriskral, which is near Potensi and near Humansdorp. He stayed there for a little while and happened to come to Cape Town on vacation, where he met my mother, Esther Harris, who was then working in a shoe shop in Long Street, which belonged to her aunt. He wanted to buy a new pair of shoes and give himself a treat. My late father went in and bought a pair of shoes. He tried it on and it looked beautiful. Compared to Andre's Scroll, where they only wear filzgoed, he really was a prince. He took them home and wanted to wear them, and he found he put two left shoes in the box instead of one of each.
Do you think she did it on purpose, Manny?
Absolutely. She admitted it. She admitted it.
When you brought them back?
Well, he couldn't wear two. He only had one left leg. So he brought them back to exchange them or get his money back. And they duly did that, and they started chatting and had coffee or whatever they did those days. I wasn't there. But they started courting, and as he lived a long way away and he was coming on vacation, he had to be quick, and it wasn't long before he said, let's get married. She was looking for a husband. Well, most women, let's face it. And they got married, went back to Andre's Kraal, stayed there, and he was busy speculating in ostrich feathers. He, unfortunately, lost most of his money where the ostrich feather slump came in, when the Queen decided she didn't want to use them anymore. They went out of fashion. And he had rooms full of ostrich feathers which he thought he could make a fortune on. Regrettably, he lost a packet, and he made a little bit of money left. And they went to Humansdorp, which is a slightly bigger town than Potensi, but still scared of a city like Port Elizabeth, in case he'd lose everything. I went to Humansdorp, and he looked for a position and there wasn't. They used to walk around the village all the time looking for a position to open a shop, because that was the simplest to make a living. And they found a home which they liked on a corner, which was the best position in Humansdorp. And they approached the landlord, who happened to be two sisters, and they offered them £5 a month. Those days was a lot of money. And also they were prepared to contribute to the alteration of the house, which it was, into a shop by putting shop windows in and putting the necessary in to make it a general dealer. And the shop was called M. Wolpe, it was his name, General Dealer.
When your father came to South Africa, could he speak English?
Very slightly, a little bit.
So how did your mom and him communicate if he couldn't
My
speak?
mother came from England and she taught him,
Yeah.
and he learned quick, especially if you have to learn the language.
Yeah.
And then, as I say, they went to Andrie's Kraal where he had his shop, and there it was mainly Afrikaans, and he spoke a bit of Afrikaans, but my late mother never learned Afrikaans in the many years that she lived in South Africa. She spoke English in Humansdorp, and she got on very well with everybody in Humansdorp and built up quite a nice business.
So what was your mother like?
She was like all mothers, no different. Depends at what stage of life. She was a very fine woman, a bit too sophisticated and educated for my late father, who came from a poorer section than my mother. My mother's father was the president of the Upton Park Shul, that's a synagogue in the East End of London. That is where they lived. He was a builder, quite a big builder, in London. I remember going over at the age of 4 and meeting my grandparents. He had a big, long, black car with a chauffeur called Claude. I still remember his name.
Wow.
And he was of the elite. So, yes, whereas my late father kept very quiet of any of his family, or where he came from, or anything. I don't know anything about it.
Why?
I wish I knew why. Because he would never part with any information from Russia. We discovered, by speaking to him and nagging him, that he left Russia. Someone sponsored him in South Africa. I still don't know who it is because he never mentioned his name. And he came out here, but never would he speak about his family. He told us his mother's name was Maureen, and that's why they called me Manny. That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
And it was a happy marriage, a very happy marriage. We lived in a very modest style because he didn't make a lot of money at all to start, or never. In other words, my mother worked every day in the shop, and he was in the shop every day in his little office, and he used to read and write. But we eventually started writing and learning English and getting the morning newspaper in Humansdorp. And he came on quite well, and then as well he had to learn a bit of Afrikaans because most of the citizens of Humansdorp were either Afrikaans, coloured people, or black people. And the coloured and black people either spoke English or Afrikaans. And we were lower to middle class. I wouldn't say lower, middle class. Because in a village like Humansdorp, the king is the dominee. He's the number one guy in the town. Number two is the magistrate, the magistraat. Then comes the chief policeman. Then come the school teachers. And then comes maybe the biggest shop owner in Humansdorp, and we certainly were not the biggest. We were small, very small. So we were known as arme Jode, poor Jews. And that's the way I grew up. I was born in Humansdorp on the 28th of February 1931. I have, at that stage, had or still have one brother and one sister. Subsequently, 9 years later, after my birth, arrived a brother, additional brother. So I therefore had two brothers and one sister and myself, a family of four, all living in Humansdorp, Cape Road, Humansdorp. Pass me the pictures.
Okay.
Let me show you.
Okay, cool.
Well, my lap.
You okay?
Yes, I'm a big boy now.
Okay. So who are these people in this photo?
This was my late father.
Yeah?
And this was me at the age of either 3 or 4 years old.
Very handsome, yeah.
Okay? This was my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
who came out from England to see if my mother was okay and to see how things were.
Oh, you in a book? Wow.
Yeah, well.
Oh. Is this you guys?
This is a complete family before Leon was born.
Yeah?
This is my late father. This is my sister. This is me,
Yeah?
my eldest brother, and my mother.
It's awesome. And you're
Before Leon was born, this picture was taken. Leon was born, as I say, 9 years later than me. There was a difference of 9 years.
So how old are you in this shot?
I was about 5 or 6.
Very cute.
This is me when I was approximately 2 years old.
What are you doing in this picture?
I was going to have a wee, it looks like. That was the tank we used to get our luxury water from. In Humansdorp, that's what the houses looked like. And we didn't have the poshest home at that time. There I was about 12, 11 or 12, also in Humansdorp.
Were you the only Jewish child at the school?
Yeah. At that time there was another one, there were two of us. But a little bit later I was the only one.
Was that an issue at all?
No, you get through anything.